We'll move on to the next session, dear participants. It gives me an immense pleasure to invite Dr. D. Yuvraj, Assistant Professor in Education, Government College of Education, Kumarapalayam, Namakkal. On behalf of our management, once again, I welcome you, sir. Before we will hand over the session to Dr. Yuvraj, sir, I would like to invite Dr. N. Kasturi, Madam, Assistant Professor of Tamil, to introduce the resource person.
அனைவருக்கும் மகிழ்வான மதிய வணக்கம். இன்று சிறப்பாக நடைபெற்றுக் கொண்டிருக்கும் இணைய வழி தேசிய கருத்தரங்கின் 4ஆம் தினத்தின் 2ஆம் அமர்விற்காக நமது அழைப்பினை ஏற்று தமது பொன்னான நேரத்தை நம்மோடு பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள வருகை புரிந்துள்ள குமாரபாளையம் அரசு கல்வியியல் கல்லூரியின் புவியியல் துறையின் உதவி பேராசிரியர் முனைவர் டி. யுவராஜ் ஐயா அவர்களை நமது நிர்வாகத்தின் சார்பிலும் நம் அனைவரின் சார்பிலும் வருக வருக என உளம் கணிந்து வரவேற்கின்றேன். வணக்கம் ஐயா.
வணக்கம்.
முனைவர் டி. யுவராஜ் ஐயா அவர்கள் சிறந்த பேராசிரியராகவும், உயர்நிலை ஆய்வாளராகவும், ஆய்வு நிலை நெறியாளராகவும், சமூக ஆர்வலராகவும், மாணவர்களின் மனங்கவர் நல் ஆசானாகவும் 9 ஆண்டுகளாக கல்வி உலகில் செம்மையாக சேவை புரிந்து வருகின்றார் என்பதை உங்களோடு பகிர்வதில் மற்றற்ற மகிழ்ச்சி கொள்கின்றேன். ஆய்வு நெறியாளராக இருந்து இவரின் வழிகாட்டுதல் படி முனைவர் பட்டய புலத்தில் 8 மாணவர்கள் பயின்றும், ஆய்வியல் நிறைஞர் புலத்தில் 7 மாணவர்கள் தேர்ச்சி பெற்றும் உள்ளனர். மேலும் 6 மாணவர்கள் பயின்றும் வருகின்றனர். இவர் பல்கலைக்கழக மானிய குழுவின் அமைப்பின் மூலம் பல்வேறு செயல்திட்ட ஆய்வேடுகளை சமர்ப்பித்து தன் ஆய்வு பணியினை செவ்வனே செய்து வருகின்றார் என்பது குறிப்பிடத்தக்கது. மேலும் தேசிய மற்றும் பன்னாட்டு தேசிய அளவில் நடைபெற்ற கருத்தரங்கம், கருத்து பட்டறை மற்றும் கலந்துரையாடல் ஆகியவற்றில் கலந்து கொண்டு தம் படைப்புகளை வெளியிட்டு தம் கல்வி சேவையை புரிந்து வருகின்றார் என்பது குறிப்பிடத்தக்கது. பல்வேறு அமைப்புகளில் உறுப்பினராகவும், பல்வேறு பல்கலைக்கழகங்களுக்கும் கல்லூரிகளுக்கும் பாட கலை திட்ட மதிப்பீட்டாளராகவும் இருந்து சிறப்பாக பணிபுரிந்து வருகின்றார். இவருடைய கல்வி பணி செவ்வனே நடைபெற எல்லாம் வல்ல இறைவனை வணங்கி நல்ல வாய்ப்பு நல்கிய அனைத்து நல்ல உள்ளங்களுக்கும் நன்றி பாராட்டி விடைபெறுகிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
நன்றி மேடம்.
நன்றி சார்.
Good afternoon to everyone. As our Kasturi ma'am said, I am Yuvraj from Government College of Education, Kumarapalayam. And I would like to thank the principal of Kasturi College of Education and the chairman and secretary of the Kasturi College of Education for inviting me as the resource person in this 4 days national seminar on UGC NET education at a glance for aspirants. And it started on 20th of October, and this is the last but not the least session for you all participants. And as in the resource persons list, all of them are well known to me. And as from my childhood, always I am being the last one in the roll number because my prefix is Y. So even in the seminar also, I took the last session. I am very much happy on that. I am continuing till my academic career. So good afternoon, Vinod sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I am very much happy about that. This institution have potential staff that he can able to enrich the institution to the higher levels. So
With
on
one
behalf
of
of
support also, sir.
yes, sir, yes, sir. On behalf of all resource persons and principal and the secretary and of Kasturi of College of Education, I wish Dr. Vinod Kumar sir to continue all the efforts in future too. So in this session, all of you heard that on the earlier 9 sessions you have gone through the unit-wise details and descriptions and approaches about the UGC NET core paper. And even though you are being very strong in the subject, you should clear the paper one first. So that is the importance. So being the last session, and this will give you a enrichment that what is your approach to clear the paper one. So without clearing the paper one, the major paper will not be taken into valuation. So keenly watch the session. And here I'm having a slide that includes only the syllabus, and I will explain you what are the type of questions will be in the paper one. And after the slide, I will explain you what are the things you have to keep in your mind before going to enter the examination hall. So I proceed Dr. Unath Kumar sir to present the slide. Yes, sir. Yes, this is just a
Is it visible, sir?
intro. Yes, yes, this is better. Yes. You may go to the second slide. Next slide, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it is an outline about the paper one of National Testing Agency, which comes under UGC education test. So earlier, the examination NET is called for National Eligible Test, and now it's changed in its name, that National Educational Test. And UGC comes under the Ministry of Human Resource, and the Government of India changed this into a Ministry of Higher Education. So earlier UGC comes under Ministry of Human Resource. That may be the question. So you have to keep in mind, earlier the UGC comes under Ministry of Human Resource Development, and Government of India changed it into Ministry of Higher Education. So this is the portal of UGC. Next slide, sir. And the UGC handed over the all national level examinations to National Testing Agency, from NEET to UPSC. What are the exams, JAM, GATE, CSIR, what are the central government examinations, the UGC handed over to National Testing Agency. They are divided the examination streams like medical exams, engineering exams, pharmaceutical exams, auditor exams, agricultural exams, arts and science exams, and science subject exams. Likewise, the National Testing Agency subdivided the subject-wise examinations, and they have a portal along with the introduction and what is the instructions to follow for the examinations, what is the eligibility criteria to apply for each and every examination. So this is the portal. National Testing Agency is conducting all UGC NET examinations. Next slide, sir. And one more thing, this is a key term, CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education. That is 2 years before, the same UGC NET examination is conducted by CBSE. That is, a school board is conducting an examination is to enter into a college or university in India. And they have preferred examination centers into schools. And 2 years back, I had an experience that the chairs and the tables of the examinations, those who applied for UGC NET examination, is on elementary schools and middle schools. You have to imagine that what is the height and breadth of the height and length of the chairs and tables in a middle school or in elementary school. So it is a humor when an adult going to enter into the schools. So there are so many difficulties faced by CBSE. So another one more question. CBSE is a board which already conducted successfully the UGC NET examinations. So here the paper one is teaching and research aptitude. So in education and a master degree of education students, you are all well known about the meaning of teaching and as well research aptitude. So except you people, that is master of education, that is MEd students, all remaining candidates, those who applied for UGC NET examinations, don't know what is education. They know only their subject. I'm not criticizing other subjects. I'm just telling the fact that they are well sound in their subject and they were very potential in their subject, but they have plenty knowledge on their subject, but they don't know what is education and what that knowledge should be inculcated towards the people community. So the objective of paper 1 is nothing, it to assess teaching and research capabilities of a candidate. Candidate is nothing but those who applied for the examinations, and this assess the teaching and research aptitude as well. So research capability and research aptitude, both together you have to express in the examinations, and this exhibits the cognitive abilities like comprehension, analysis, evaluation, understanding the structure of argument, deductive and inductive reasons. So likewise, these are all the components in paper 1, and they were divided 10 units, and these 10 units will make you an engage that what questions are to be. And next slide, sir. This is expected to have, next slide please, sir. Yes, continuation of objectives. Yeah, this is expected to have a general awareness about teaching and learning process in higher education system. So I'm making a red mark that general awareness is nothing but a student or an aspirant of NET examination should aware of all the aspects happening and all the events happening around him about and towards the higher education system. That very recently we have across the NEP. So that may be the general awareness about the higher education system. So this is a great focus in the paper 1. And the aspirants should aware of interaction between people and environment, natural resources, and their impact on the quality of life. So at the end, the UGC emphasizes that impact on the quality of life, even though the general awareness and what are the subject they have got master degree, and even PhD holders may write examinations. So that should give the attention that the impact on quality of life. There is no change in that. Education have to enrich and it makes a good quality of life. That is the result of education. So that is a keyword, that quality of life is emphasized through, it may be a question. So the result answer is education. Through education only the quality of life of people will enrich. Next slide, sir. And in the next slide, I have marked that there are 10 units in paper 1, and those 10 units were already taken as an individual session from the 20th October in our national seminar. And from the 10 units, each units having 5 questions, and each questions contain of 2 marks. And 15 to 2, there are 100 marks for paper 1. That includes graphical, pictorial questions, or set of cited candidates, a passage followed by an equal number of questions, and weightage be set for visually impaired candidates. So it is a main thing, visually impaired candidates. So why I am insisting in this seminar, even any visually impaired candidates are attending this seminar, or a normal aspirant is attending the examination, you have to first go through the question papers and identify whether the question is for you or the 5 items are for visually impaired candidates. So the question is containing a minimum 5 to 10 questions, especially exclusively for visually impaired candidates, and that should be not answered by you people. So be conscious, and before sitting into the examination hall, be alert that there are questions that exclusively allotted for visually impaired candidates. So you have to skip that questions, and for the general, they have various type of questions. So be alert when you are entering into the hall. Even there are aspirants, those who attended the seminar may earlier attended the examinations, can have an experience, but the first time attending candidates should be alert that there are questions that only for visually impaired candidates. So next slide, sir. And teaching aptitude. Here, the unit 1 containing teaching, what is the concept and objectives of teaching, levels of teaching, memory, understanding and reflecting, characteristics and basic requirements. And they started with teaching and they end with learner's characteristics. Learner is nothing but a student whose characteristics are vary by means of his academic and social, emotional and cognitive domains. So a teacher may teach to all in the same way, but in a classroom we have minimum of 15 and up to 100 students. The learner's characteristics may vary up to 100 types. Like our fingers, one finger will not be same with as another. Likewise, the learner's characteristics may vary individually. So that is the second important thing they have mentioned in the unit 1, that is characteristics of adolescent and adult learners, academically, socially, emotionally and cognitively, and individual difference of them. And there are schools, they have running inclusive schools, so, and special schools also. And in general schools they won't admit special childs, and in inclusive schools they may admit special children, and special schools only admit the special children. And factors affecting teaching related to teacher, learner, support material, instruction materials, learning environment and institutions. And what are all the factors affecting teaching related to? So students are merely sitting in the classroom for minimum of 6 to 8 hours, but to take the class, we, that is teachers, have to prepare a lot to get enter into the classroom. So our mind should be very strong that what are the things we have to teach in today's class and tomorrow's class. So the only profession that thinks round the clock, that is 24 hours, we are thinking about the what is the next process we are going to adopt to the students. So that is the specialty of teachers, and it makes us a prestigious and a noble profession. So that is depend on our thinking and passion towards the teaching subject. And methods of teaching in institutions and higher learning. So this comes under higher learning institutions like undergraduate college, postgraduate college, research institutes, teacher-centered versus learner-centered method, offline versus online. And the recently added online methods, Swayamprabha, mock, etc., or recently added phenomenons in higher education system. And this online method reached till the play school. So due to the COVID, there is no possibility of physical presence in the schools or higher education institutions. We are following online methods. So this will be the maximum questions comes from Swayam and mock, etc. So mock is nothing but a teacher can take a title and make a self video and post in a YouTube or in a WhatsApp group of the students, and that will be benefited to them. And this mock session will be given to the individual institutions that they will make, that these are all the mock sessions taken by our professors. So likewise, they will collect all the mock sessions from the individual teachers. And teaching support system. And we have traditional teaching support system, modern and ICT based. We are in a contemporary situation that we are using ICT based teaching support system. And on the traditional system, only Gurukula system, the teacher and the student will be in the teaching learning process. And this now changed in a tremendous way. Without a teacher, a student is able to learn. So this is the endangering situation to our profession. But without us, they won't get a proper knowledge, and they have knowledge through the various ICT based elements. But a guru have to show on what way he have to learn. That is the specialty of us. So then evaluation system, how to evaluate the student or learner system is elements and types of evaluation in choice based credit system in higher education, elements of type of evaluations. There are so many elements and type of evaluation that in school level they will use the word valuation. That is, a textbook's content will reflect in the answer sheet is called as valuation. And in higher education system, we won't mock the script with valuation. Just we have to evaluate the paper whether the student is captured the content and expressed on his own way. So if we asked a question that is, what is education? The answer script of 100 students should vary each other. That is the real answer that is called as evaluation. So only one questions is approached or answered by 100 students. That 100 students, 100 answers should vary each other. That is called the evaluation system. And in valuation, all 100 answers will be as like in the textbook. So that is up to 8th and 10th and 12th level. School level, they will by God the content and reflect in the answer script. But in case of higher education, we have to teach the students to express his own way of idea about a question. And the question may vary. And also the method of answer and expression and the language and way of presenting the answer should vary each other, will be in the evaluation system. And computer based testing, here earlier the UGC NET examination was conducted in physical mode, and now you people are going to attempt the examination in computer based testings. So it is an added advantage to you that you are having only objective type questions to answer. And innovations in evaluation system is nothing but OMR sheet, optical marking reader. That is, the answer which you encircled or shaded by yourself will be get result within 15 seconds when we post that answer sheet in a machine. That will give you what are the right answer, how much mark you scored within 15 seconds. The answer, that is the evaluation of yours, will be done. Next slide, sir. And research aptitude. As in the earlier unit, you have to attend the questions as you are a teacher, and your face should be vary, that a teacher should change his face in a researcher's point of view. You have to attend these questions in a researcher's point of view. And what is the meaning of research? The term itself having its meaning, a research, searching and researching the thing. So we people in the education sector, we have to search what is the meaning of education, what is the real meaning of education, what is your individual perception of education. So likewise, the research is also an important thing in paper 1. And what are the type of research? Historical research, descriptive research, and descriptive exploratory research. Likewise, there are so many type of researches. And what are the characteristics? Positivism and post-positivism approach to research, and methods of research: experimental, descriptive, historical, qualitative, and quantitative methods. In odd subjects, they have used only descriptive research and historical research, and in science research, we have to conduct experimental and quantitative methods to engage the research work. And what are the steps of research? Here, we have identification of research or research title is the step 1, and collecting related literature will be the second step, and what is the methodology you are going to adopt in the research is the third one, and what are all the data you are having and what data you are going to collect is the fourth step, and next one is data analysis, and finally an important thing is thesis and article writing is nothing but documentation. minimum research should include these above set nature, that is identification of problem, statement of the problem, aim and objectives, data and methodology, data analysis. What are all the tools you engaged to derive the data? And there are so many formats and styles of referencing. In art subjects, in a thesis of art subject, they were referred each and individual pages. But in case of science, they will accumulate the reference portion at the end of the thesis. And application of ICT in research. On the earlier days, only typing machines are involved in preparing the documentation of research. And in modern days, we have computer-based research. And even for review, earlier days, we have to visit an individual university to collect the related literature. But at the present day, just we are sitting in front of our computer and we may collect plenty of research reviews, and that will help you what are all the approaches already done in your particular research. In a research, there are so many approaches to derive the results. So what steps already taken by the other researchers is to be concluded by means of collecting international reviews, national level reviews, and your regional level reviews. That should give you a clear idea that what you should not do and what you should not repeat in your research. So that is nothing but the research ethics, that you don't or you won't repeat the same thing what the earlier researchers were done. That is in the research ethics. And in the third unit, there were comparison, comprehension, and communication. Comprehension is a term you are hearing from your childhood. From your middle school level onwards, you have a comprehension, and even from elementary school, you have a comprehension passage. And by going through that comprehension, you have a questions, and those questions were directly, indirectly, and it will make you so many kind of critical thinking and logical thinking, analytical thinking. From that passage, you have to answer the questions. And communication, meaning of and type of characteristics of communications. And effective communication, verbal, non-verbal, intercultural, and group communications, classroom communication. So what will be the effective communication in teaching learning process, you have to keep in mind. We are having a PowerPoint presentation in the session. And otherwise, without this, we can have to post the total content of this session earlier to you, and you have to go through that one. In case of PowerPoint presentation is not available, means we have to get ready that this content should be given to you earlier to the session, and you have to go through, and after presenting the session, you have to ask and clarify the doubts. So likewise, we have sophisticated way of classroom communications and barriers of effective communications. As we crossed from 10 o'clock to 10:30 in our today's session, that is the great barrier which leads a disturbance in our session, that we lost 30 minutes from 10 o'clock to 10:30. That is a barrier that these electronic devices will always do its own way. It's not like us. If you want to do anything, means we will physically do that work. And in case of electronic devices and information communication technology, will be always give trouble at any time, that these kind of barriers is disturbance to our effective communication. And mass media and society, here at the end they have mass media and society. So they insisting always in the first passage onwards, they given quality of human life, and here now they end with society, and how these effective comprehension and communication reaching the society. So that is the thing in the UGC NET examinations. Next slide, sir. In the fourth unit, they have mathematical and reasoning and aptitude. So here, a reasoning, type of reasoning, numerical series or number series, letter series, codes and relationships. They were given 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and what will be the next? So the answer is easily, you may mention that The answer is 11. Likewise, letter series A, C, E. Likewise, they will give odd number or even number. You have to identify and you have to answer what is the next letter series comes in a series. And codes and relationships. It will be like a square or a rectangle or a line will be given to you that will be continuing in such a way that you have to keep what is the next answer. And the mathematical aptitudes is a tight situation to odd subject students, those who are applying for UGC NET examinations. One fellow is applying who is having master degree in Tamil and master degree in history, master degree in political science, master degree in public administration. Likewise, they don't know from higher secondary school onwards, they don't know what is mean by mathematics. And for that only, they have chosen odd subject stream or commerce subject stream in their higher secondary. So these kind of hurdles will be faced in your UGC NET examination. So you be alert and you have to just keep in watch that what are the basic aptitude of mathematics like fraction, time and distance, ratio, proportion and percentage, profit and loss, interest and discounting, average, etc. will be the questions asked from mathematical aptitude. These items are not in your syllabus, that is in your school syllabus, but that is in our day-to-day life. We have crossing this time and distance, profit and loss, interest and discounting, averages. When you are going to purchase in a shop, they will give you a discount that you buy this by through this credit card, you will have 10% of cash offer. So the mobile price is 10,000 means you will get the 100, that is 1,000 rupees benefit by using a credit card. This is called as a discounting by means of using a credit card. Likewise, you have to catch and capture and observe the day-to-day life, and you have to imply in this reasoning. That is called reasoning. The title is reasoning is nothing but you have to reason and aptitude the calculations you are crossing on your day-to-day life. Next slide is logical reasoning. And being a teacher, you have to think and perceive and observe the things happening around you in a logical way. If you have a dig on a road, you have to jump or you have to move away from that dig, and don't be stay there and don't think that we have to do separation, or otherwise a best logic is you have to inform to the authorities. That is the logical thinking. And likewise, the questions will be in argumental form. A paragraph will be given and that paragraph will have 4 answers. That 4 answers will be apt to the questions asked in the forum. But you have to choose the best answer, that is the argument form. And structure of categories of proportions, mood and figures, formal and informal fallacies, and use of language, connotations and denotations of terms, classical square of options. So these are all the logical reasoning things that items will be asked in your questions. That we have around 8 items. They will only ask you minimum of any 5 items from this unit. And data interpretation. Next slide. We have data interpretation. That is nothing but it is a continuation of a research. It comes under research. In the second slide, we have introduced about the research aptitude. The continuation of that is linking with this unit, that is data interpretation. For a research, the basic and fundamental thing is nothing but a data. What data you have keeping, what type of data, what kind of data, and what volume of data, what span of time you have collected data. And this will be the questions in data interpretation. There are only 2 sources of data. One is primary data and second one is secondary data. And a question is always in the paper 1 that a government record which given you a research data comes under, this will be the question, and answer they have given primary data, secondary data. Likewise, they will give a minimum of 4 answers. A data which is collected from other hands is called as secondary data. So secondary data, the answer is a government record is nothing but a secondary data which collected by the invigilator. That is, invigilator is nothing but the researcher. So another term for researcher is invigilator. So how to acquisition of data and classification of data and qualitative and quantitative data. A thing or an information is qualitative in the sense it is a red color, it is a dark red color, it is light red color will be the qualitative data, and quantitative in the sense it is 100% red color. So we have numerical clue in the data will be treated as quantitative, and a thing about its quality is called as qualitative data. So likewise they will ask with the numerical value, this data comes under qualitative or qualitative. You have to answer when it contains a numerical thing, that should be a quantitative data. And these data will be presented in a tabular manner, and that graphical representation also been given for a particular table, and the bar chart or histogram or pie chart or table chart in line chart will be given to the question, and you have to answer the questions from observing keenly about that bar chart or graphical representations in these four things. So it is also a easier question you have to answer. And mapping of data, data interpretation. Data interpretation is nothing but they will give a census, male, female, gender, literacy. Likewise, they will give population data or any kind of data. Data interpretation will be given at the below of the data that you have to interpret and you have to answer. And data and governance will be the end of that session. Next slide, sir. Information and communication technology. Next slide, sir. Information and communication technology. This is a term that we came to know before 2 decades. That is 20 years back. We are well sound in information and communication technology. But all around the world, India is lacking in communication technology and information technology, that we are so far from the Western countries like America and USA. They have advanced information and communication technologies. They have 5G technology earlier days, but we are now reaching 4G technology. So this is the way how we are so far, and we are lacking in information and communication technology. And ICT gives us a concept of global village that came into true, that information and communication technology shrinks our world into our pocket. When we keep our Android mobile with internet facility, the world is on your hand. What things you want to do through that information and communication will be done with your Android mobile phone with internet facility. So here is a spelling mistake in basic of internet, email, audio and video conferencing. So what are all the recent audio and video conferencing methods engaged in higher educations will be a question here, and digital initiatives in higher educations. So in the first slide we have Swayam, likewise South Ganga, e-Padasala. Likewise, there are so many digital initiatives in higher educations of government of India is giving to the higher education system. And through this ICT and governance, what kind of governance through this ICT we will engage? On early days, we will pay our electrical bill and house property rent and water bill, water tax in the government offices. But through the information and communication technology, the each and everything will be happened through e-mode, that is electronic mode. We are doing all the things, and at the end we come to the, sir, next slide, sir, people development and environment. So higher education, here I am enlightening the term human health at the end. This is the term in the syllabus. So what the UGC want to inculcate from higher education is nothing but human health. At the earlier slide and the first slide we have quality of life. that higher education or education should make the quality of life in a good way. And at the end, they have also repeated the same thing. The development of people and environment should be reached through proper education. So that only we are being in a higher education stream. Here, development and environment, Millennium Development Goals. So here, Millennium Development and Sustainable Development, it is a term. Sustainable development is a good term, that our natural resources should be given as it is to our next generation, is nothing but sustainable development. There is a good thing, there is a jovial thing and a humorous thing. My grandfather played on that lake. My father shone the lake with water, and I built a house nearby that lake, and my children don't know that there is a lake on that place. So this is called a sustainable development. So what natural resources are having in the past, that should be maintained and that should be keep as it is to the future generation, will be the sustainable development. Human and environmental interaction. How human interacting with environment? Do we interact with environment? Nothing else. Environment is nothing but the relationship between living and non-living things. And the living things are called as biomes, and non-living things are called as abiotic items. Biotic items and abiotic items. Likewise, environment directly interacts with human, and human interacts directly and indirectly with the environment. How? Anthropogenic activities and their impacts on environment. How human beings impacting and making worst happening to the environment. We people extracting the mineral resources and extracting the natural resources at a vast level, and that will give environmental imbalance. So that is the reflection, how anthropogenic activities making impact on environment. That is, environment is nothing but natural environment. Here, there are so many forums from the earlier years. After the World War II, there are so many focuses given to safeguarding the environmental issues, and these local level issues, regional level issues, global level issues regarding air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, noise pollution, and waste items. In the environment, there is a term called waste. No, we using the term waste in a waste manner. So that is the real thing. Solid, liquid, biomedical, hazards, electronic. These are all the type of waste: solid waste, liquid waste, biomedical waste, hazardous waste, and electronic waste, e-wastes. And when compared to urban areas and rural areas, the urban solid waste is also being a endangering situation. So urban solid waste will be a question in solid waste management. And climate change and its socio-economic and political dimensions. How environment will give you a political dimension? Is it any direct relationship between climate or environment with political dimensions? Yes, it is. A political issue by means of environmental issue is, best example is our Kaveri River dispute problem between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and Periyar Dam problem between Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and Krishna River water dispute between Tamil Nadu and Andhra. And river interlinking project of government India is a national level problem, and it is a political problem from so many decade years. So likewise, environmental aspects will directly influences the political dimensions and socioeconomic characteristics of people. And climate change, how climate change is happening by means of urbanization, by means of industrialization. So first key is mechanization. before the industrialization, there is a key term, mechanization. Mechanization leads to industrialization, and industrialization leads to urbanization. Earlier, the term we so-called that is global village, and in future, a global town or global city will be the term that will alter the term global village. And likewise, impact of pollutants on human health. That will be the endangering situation that environment reflect you. And here in the second line, we have anthropogenic activities and their impacts on environment. We are mentioned in the third and fourth line. Here, impact of pollutants on human health. How this environment reflect you on human health. So we are negatively maintaining the environment that will reflect you on your health. So this is a great key which we are having, that people should keep our environment in a proper manner. Next slide, sir. Vinod sir, next slide. Natural and energy resources. Natural and energy resources. On earlier days, before the invention of electricity, there is a thing that natural environment is kept very cleanly and safely. But after the invention of electricity, so how science and technology influencing on environment and energy resources? Nowadays, there is a problem that is so around 10 years back, we crossed electrical failure that from morning 10 to 5, a particular area will be in shutdown, and during evening after 5 to 10 will be the electrical power supply to that particular area. So likewise, we are in a demand of electricity. That electricity is now generated with the help of solar electricity, wind electricity, and hydroelectricity. And the earlier days, we used hydroelectricity, and modern days, we are using solar electric power and wind power for generating electricity. And geothermal electricity, biomass electricity, nuclear and forest. These are all the natural resources we have to keep in mind. And in resources, we have to think there are two kinds of resources. One is renewable resource and another one is non-renewable resource. That is exhaustible and non-exhaustible. Coal, petroleum, these kind of things are non-renewable resources. In a certain day, the Middle East countries' petroleum or crude oil will be in a nil position, that the total global economy will get in a endangering situation. So likewise, natural hazards and disaster, like we crossed flood on Chennai and flood at Kerala recently, and landslides, forest fires at Theni. Likewise, there are so many natural hazards and disaster happening in and around us. We have to watch in that. And there are so many kind of protection acts to safeguard the environmental aspects are called as National Action Plan on Climate Change, International Agreements and Efforts, Montreal Protocol, and Rio Summit, Convention of Biodiversity, Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, International Solar Alliance. So here you have a term, biodiversity and Kyoto Protocol. And these two are main questions will be asked in the paper 1. So biodiversity is nothing but safeguarding diversified biological items in a particular area or particular environment is nothing but the term called biodiversity. Next slide, sir. Under the higher education system, at the last unit, we have, next slide, sir, Vinod, sir. At the end of paper 1, they have mentioned higher education system, that is institutions of higher education learning and education in ancient India. Ancient India, we have only Nalanda University and there are few universities, and afterwards, after the independence, we have, so that is mentioned in the second para, that is post-independence India is having a tremendous change in education system, especially from school education to higher education system. And the government permitting so many private universities, government universities, central government in research institutions and state government research institutions. Likewise, they're spending more volume of amount for the education sector, especially to higher education sector. And Oriental, conventional and non-conventional learning programs in India. That is, physical presence of student will be in a main focus, and part-time courses are available in India, and virtual mode of education system also in India, and correspondence education, that is distance mode education, will be also available in India. So likewise, what are all the phases of students? Likewise, the government is initiating all kind of students to get education. So this is the various learning programs in India. And even a student do a course without physically entering into a classroom, they will get a degree. So there are so many universities, that is Indira Gandhi National Open University in India. It is the best university doing their distance education mode. And the higher education system is divided into professional, technical, and skill-based education system. Professional like medicine, engineering, and technical like ITI, and skill-based education system is vocational education system. And finally, at the end, they have mentioning value education and environmental education. These two papers are compulsory in all undergraduate courses. So value education is a compulsory paper in UG education, even he is doing engineering degree or graduate, that is arts degree. These two papers are compulsory. And at the finally, they will give you abbreviations. Sir, previous slide, sir. Previous slide. Abbreviations: UGC, University Grants Commission, National Accreditation Assessment Committee, National Council for Teacher Education. Likewise, there are abbreviations will be asked in paper 1. And PC is a term asked in a question that is personal computer. That so many of them are unaware of that. And IPR in the third line, intellectual property right. AI, artificial intelligence. And ICSSR, Indian Council for Social Science Research. ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research. ICAR, Indian Council for Agriculture Research. CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Likewise, NRSA, National Remote Sensing Center, Indian Space Research Organization. Likewise, there are so many abbreviations regarding the higher education system will be given to you, that you have to expand it. And finally, I have mentioned in red color, et al. That is a research key to you, that this may be a question. Et al means it stands for continuing and co-authors of a particular research. That et al stands for including others. That is a group of people doing a research, that the primary author will be labeled in a paper, and et al will be mentioned in that. Means the research is combined together, done by those remaining authors. Though, so this is et al also being a question in the UGC NET examinations. And at the final slide, I have mentioned what are all the materials. And sir, final slide, sir. Preferred study materials. That is, best thing for paper 1 is Upkar Publications and Truman Books Company. And for research methodology, you may keep a dictionary, that C.R. Kothari. This is the Bible for research methodology. And for quantitative and logical reasonings, you have to keep R.S. Agarwal book. And there are few books available specifically for paper 2 and 3. That is, for our education subject, there are books. And you should prepare along with the previous year question paper and answer keys, which already posted in UGC website portal. So you have to download that one, and you have to keep hard copies and cross check. And always, as our Balasubramaniam sir in the earlier session told, there are mock tests available. If you are applied for NET examinations, you have to do mock examinations or mock test. That will give you confidence. So that confidence will make you to qualify these NET examinations. And if you get an JRF, that is Junior Research Fellowship, you will get around rupees 32,000 per month to do your MPhil and PhD degrees. And if you clear assistant professor level, you will get an opportunity throughout India, that these examinations will give you a national level job opportunities to you people. And if we clear SLET examinations like NET examinations, our government of Tamil Nadu will conduct state educational test through any state university, that will give you job opportunities only within the geographical jurisdiction of Tamil Nadu. So to get job in state government universities and government colleges, aided colleges, private colleges, you should eligible with SLET or SET examination, state educational test. But whether when you are cleared UGC national educational test, this will give you a national opening that even you may work in Jammu and Kashmir or West Bengal or Assam, Gujarat, Pondicherry, wherever you want to work. This examination will give you a national focus. And being a resident of Tamil Nadu, you don't get a depression that you won't be work here. If you clear these examinations, you will be on a national limelight. So by means of the wishes of Dr. Radhakrishnan, I am concluding this session.